Boy, have I missed all of you, lichens and gentlemen, children of the night, nocturnals, night terrors, and all things that go bump in the night. Welcome to your monthly treatment of shock therapy. The doctor will see you now. Show me your woes, and I'll cure all that ails you. Consider me your night watchman for this evening's festivities here at Mind's Eye Theater. I invite you to violate curfew along with me for this graveyard shift. I am your horror host incarnate for this sold-out show. Folks, there are horror films that to me draw a line in the sand. What do I mean? You'll get your slasher fare, you'll get your lowbrow, and look, I like some of the trashy stuff. I can get into it, but to assume that that's like the fine wine, no. What we got in store for tonight, that's top shelf. Like I was saying, there will be those genres like zombie fare, which just becomes so gluttonous, which is pretty amusing, considering that what it is that the subject matter you'd be dealing with is emaciated corpses. But then there is Silent Hill. This is one of the types of subject matter that's for the big boys, you know what I mean? That's for real deal horror fans that ain't about the slapstick, they ain't about the blood splatter. No, they're about something deeper. They're about something that is so visceral and cerebral. And to me, I'm absolutely all for it. And I'm happy that we have the sequel coming up this week, at the end of the week, because it gives me a reason, an excuse to revisit that haven that horror calls home, Silent Hill. I absolutely loved this movie when it came out. I was a major fan. I still champion it. I'll be getting into more of my thoughts during the stream, and definitely at the end when I give my closing thoughts. But let's get into what I find. Oh, let's get into the premise. So, Rose da Silva takes her adopted daughter Sharon to the town of Silent Hill in an attempt to cure her of her ailment. On the way, the pair drive through a portal in reality, leading to an eerie town called Silent Hill. The town is surrounded by a potent darkness, and the human survivors fight a losing battle against it. Now, I don't think, obviously this is a summary, but obviously I don't think that this premise quite does the concept justice, but that's fine, because we will be getting into the all the gory details surrounding this film. So, there is a little something that I always like to put together just to get the ball rolling on engagement. And that includes, one quick second, we have, as always, you can always rely on Kick to have their, get rid of that real quick, to have their spam in the chat. Anyway, there's a little ditty I like to call the totem pole, which I would like to get to in order to gauge everyone's reception about what we have on tap as our creature presentation. So your choices are Shallow Grave, High Stakes, and Bottom of the Barrel, as I mentioned at the beginning. So, as you probably guessed, I absolutely have to go with High Stakes. I mean, to me, it's... And you have to remember the time in which this film came out. It was during that time where we were getting a much bigger influx of not just gaming movie adaptations, but adaptations of horror content. Now, when I say we all understand that, or I should say that it's understood, not until recently have there been profitable adaptations of video games, like the Sonic and the Mario movies. That's not what I'm looking towards. What my focus has always been on what is like the best in terms of content. And to me, I mean, God, we got the woeful Resident Evil games, which yeah, I mean, the fact that they made like 6 of them is insane to me. And then we got Doom and Alone in the Dark, and man, oof, just not a one of them hit. And again, I don't care if they were popular in foreign markets now. I care whether or not they were any good. So when this movie came out, like I said, I loved it. I wish it was referenced more and not ripped off, which I'll get to at the end. I wish it was referenced more because I, for one, am a huge advocate of, how can I put it, of blurring the lines between survival horror and horror movies when we get adaptations like this, or when we get video game adaptations of horror movies. I'm absolutely all for it. I genuinely love that synergy. I wish we got more of it, but to be honest, in order to accommodate that, you would have to have good content. You know what I mean? You would have to have good video horror games to adapt. You would have to have good horror movies to adapt. And sadly, we're not afforded that luxury often. Okay, as you can see, the totem pole is available for all of you fine folks to vote on. Just close this. So, I invite you to stream the film along with me. I wish this was available somewhere. Unfortunately, it isn't. And believe me, part of the reason why I love doing these watch parties is so that all of you fine folks can join along with me. Look, I looked, I tried, it's not available anywhere. I myself am watching the film from my Scream Factory Blu-ray. So that's the flaw of Sony and streaming services, to be honest. But if you have your copy available, I suggest that you pull it up if you have it on streaming, and you pop in the Blu-ray if you have it the way that I'm watching it. So let me take care of a couple housekeeping items, and that gives you time to grab yourself some soda pop and popcorn. So, if you're in the market, I have sponsorships with Jabra headsets as well as Samsung devices. Please be sure to check the link in the description for those. I have as an affiliate the upcoming horror documentary, which I need to take a look at how that's progressing. It goes by the title Mental Health in Horror, which I genuinely hope that they reference Silent Hill in that documentary. The support link is up top. If you're of a mood, I'll just consider it your pound of flesh. And if you want to support in a different way, there is the merch store that's available. I fixed the link that was wrong with not Streamlabs. What is it? Teespring. I was able to fix that and get that squared away. So we are coming to you live, streaming on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, X, Kick, Rumble, and Locals. So, in the enduring battle between Inkarnate and the almighty algorithm, my fans are my strongest weapon. Therefore, I ask you to get them likes up. So, without further ado, I now present to you this creature presentation. Igor, throw the switch. Okay, and we are starting now. Let me make sure everything's running smoothly. Oh my god, I absolutely love that opening song. The music. The fact that they got Akira Yamaoka back was stroke of brilliance. I mean, the fact that we're getting Christoph Gans back for the sequel was also an inspired choice. Speaking of which, it took director Christoph Gans 5 years to obtain the rights to make this film. He was given the rights after he sent Konami a video of an interview describing how much Silent Hill meant to him. So, along with the interview, he sent scenes that he filmed of his own dollar, cut up and overlaid with the music from the game. So, well done. The waterfall here is called Devil's Punch Bowl in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. This scene I thought was pretty creepy. I thought this was a pretty good way of opening the film, like showing the mental issues that the daughter's going through. And then, well, you'll see. And yeah, here we go. Descent into madness. Really good creepy way to get us going. Admittedly, a very strange thing for a child to scream out. So, in the game, as many know, as in the game that the film is based on, the protagonist was male named Harry Mason, and his daughter was Cheryl Mason. Christoph Gans gender swapped the character as he believed the journey to rescue the beloved child would be more believable if the protagonist was a mother, which led to some accusations of sexism against the director. Yes, even in 2006, they would apply that term to anything and anyone. I applaud the casting of Radha Mitchell. I never knew how to pronounce her first name. This was her second role facing deadly creatures that inhabit darkness or blind creatures guided by light. In terms of the nurses, after the 2000 film Pitch Black. She does look very pretty. So I had never played any of the Silent Hill games. I wasn't fortunate to have game consoles because I grew up friggin' poor. Anyway, but yeah, I saw my friends play it. I would hear about Silent Hill, and it terrified people, like genuinely terrified people. To the point that a friend of a family member of mine said that he actually threw out his game cast because while playing Silent Hill, he felt like the game was talking to him. Creepy stuff. So this character, who's playing the little girl, the actress's name Jodelle Ferland. So due to the nature of the Silent Hill film and the fact that she was only 10 years old at the time of filming, writer Roger Avery apologized to her parents should she have had any signs of mental trauma. But fans, I want to let you know that I won't be apologizing to any of you because I absolutely love this film. So interestingly, So Christoph Gans was actually irritated by Radha Mitchell's approach to acting, which typically involved her needing several shots before she could get into character. In the DVD commentary, the director stated that it was especially difficult to film scenes with Radha and co-star Laurie Holden, who played Sybil Bennett, due to their their very different acting techniques. Yeah, I even though I knew friends of mine had played this game, I basically went into this movie when it first came out fresh. I didn't know like anything about it, and I don't even think I was familiar with Pyramid Head or the nurses. But I like there was a and I God do I hate this word. There was a aura around this film, and I that's what drew me in. And again, I wish more people spoke about this movie because I think and fans have come around on it. They like they like this movie for what it is. They very much enjoy what it's about. They enjoy the content. They enjoy the execution. Pun intended. They enjoy the execution of the movie, but I wish that other outlets covered this more generously and more frequently because it's a really good movie, and it is up there with the greats of the genre, I feel. Ooh. Uh-huh. Well, every, everything looks all up and up here. What? You did this? She really gets that like innocence down well. Hmm. No. Nosy much? She didn't think she like did she not notice a cop walking in the opposite direction of her? Hmm. No roads go there. Nothing suspicious. Oh. Jerk. There was a scene that was removed from the final cut where I believe Sybil Shepherd, the cop lady, speaks to the clerk, and it's the clerk that mentions uh, that Rose is headed to Silent Hill, which is why she pursues her. Yes, psych. Well, no, nosy lady. Odd that she would jot down Well, I guess that would be later for questioning, but she jots down the very same license plate of the car that she's gonna pursue. Odd. But again, I guess that would be to call it in later on. So let's get a little background on the town that they're headed to and the inspiration of it. So, Centralia, Pennsylvania was the inspiration for the movie adaptation of the game Silent Hill. In researching the different elements of Silent Hill, screenwriter Roger Avery came across the town of Centralia, Pennsylvania, an almost abandoned town within a 40-year coal fire burning underneath it. I've always loved that element of Silent Hill, or at least its inspiration. So, Centralia planted the seed for what developed into the cinematic version of the town of Silent Hill. 111 people died in Centralia. In the film, the sacrificial chamber can be accessed through room 111 at the Grand Hotel. I forgot that she just booked it immediately. She was like, nope. I don't have the sound effect of the cartoon running away sound. Jesus, lady. And turn your head... Well, I guess she couldn't. She would have to keep her headlights on. Okay, I think you've outrun her. Or maybe not. Ha 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 ha. I like that. I had forgotten that there's like a noticeable divide between... Thud. I That's actually that scene of someone walking into the middle of a highway. That scene is inspired by another video game that escapes me at the moment. It's not Clock Tower. Whereas Resident Evil had taken inspiration from, what is it, Haunted House? I know it took inspiration from Alone in the Dark, but it took inspiration also from... Crap. Hold on, this is going to bother me if I don't look it up. I'm blanking right now. Was it Konami's Haunted House? I can't remember. Sweet Home, that's what it is, not Haunted House. So while Resident Evil was inspired by Sweet Home, there was a different game that had inspired Silent Hill. So in the original script, interestingly enough, Rose was supposed to take Sharon to a faith healer. Since Sharon was terminally ill and beyond medical help, they would just end up in Silent Hill by chance. So in the game, Harry Mason takes Cheryl to Silent Hill for a vacation because she suggested it. And here comes that icon. Like, the road sign is so iconic. Usually I would balk at the repetitive use of multiple iterations, whether gaming or film, of Silent Hill, but still, it's such a great... You know why? It's such a great almost reference to abandon all hope, ye who enter here. You know what I mean? So I missed the... as we just saw, where she's well, we're seeing it now, the ash that's falling, the one that fell on the scene where it falls on her cheek. Contrary to belief, it is actually snowing in the first Silent Hill game and not falling ash. So this is mentioned in the game's own dialogue that it's snowing and falls from the sky instead to go with the film's themes of fire. And I like the contrast between Resident Evil and Silent Hill, where Resident Evil takes place in a haunted house, whereas Silent Hill is the ghost town. It's an entire city. I like how they have different camera angles of like the chase scene between Rose and her daughter. You'll see this throughout the film using very clever camera work, and it's greatly appreciated for me. Uh-oh. We're starting things off already. Wow, what the hell? We're barely 15 minutes into the movie. Shout out movie for good pacing. Yep. Great suspense, man. Don't feel bad if the city slips into something more gruesome. So I didn't even know this. I thought the the scene of like the peeling away where you transfer from one world of Silent Hill to the other world. I thought that that was from the games, but it's actually from this movie. So, interestingly enough, multiple different sets had to be constructed to create each of the four versions of Silent Hill, which included how the town looks in present day, well, present day being relative, '04 when the movie was set, how it looked in 1974, how it looks in the fog world, and how it looks in the other world. Rada Mitchell estimates that a new set was used in the film every 60 seconds. Oopsie. Easy there. Easy there. Jeez, we're gonna see our first look at the monsters already? God, everything is just so eerie, and there's a huge lighter, lady. What is she looking at? Skin? Hmm. Oh, entrail. Oh! I didn't realize we would get here so quickly. Oh, yep. Damn. We're just 20 minutes in, which reminds me, guys, hit the like button. And the Gray Children. So Yvonne Nig played all of the Grey Children seen in the movie. To create the illusion of multiple Grey Children, her movements were recorded. Oh god, that is nightmare fuel, bro. So her movements were recorded in several different positions and were overlapped in post-production. The majority of the creatures in the film were actually taken from the Silent Hill 2 game, despite being based on the first Silent Hill. Uh-oh. Oh, God. Wow, the camera movement really sells this. And the muted sound. God. Burned to ash. Yeah, that would be enough for anyone to pass out. And the peeling away. Nice. So you're listening to the lyrical stylings of one Johnny Cash. So apart from Ring of Fire, which is what we are listening to here, good music by the way, good choice of music. So besides this song by Johnny Cash, every piece of music is directly from the game series. Christoph Gans wanted all of the film's music to come from the games, which were composed by Akira Yamaoka. However, the film's production contract required that a Canadian composer to be involved. So, to remedy this, Dana was hired to remix Yamaoka's tracks. Thinking on your feet. Anyway, back to what I was saying about the Grey Children. So yeah, despite being the first film, it is largely based on the Silent Hill 2. So the Grey Children and the Creepers, the monstrous insects with human faces. Oh, I love this scene. I love this scene because it removes the why don't they just run away question that people always have. And I love that because I remember that's one of the things that I liked in the Resident Evil, the Evil Dead remake movie, where they have a flood. I liked her casting too. She's beautiful. I think Catherine Unger, I think her name is. So yeah, I like that they remove the road entirely with a ditch, a friggin' cavern to remove the possibility of escape because now you're truly isolated. So where was I? Uh-oh. Oh, jeez. She's like a cat lady. Anyway, so the Great Children and the Creepers, those bugs with human faces, they're the only monsters taken from the first Silent Hill, while the sexualized nurses, spoiler, Pyramid Head, spoiler, and the Armless Man, spoiler, are from Silent Hill 2. Colin the janitor is the only monster in the film who is an original creation, and he doesn't come from any of the games. And he was conceptualized the day before his scene was shot. Oh, Deborah Unger, I'm sorry. Deborah Unger is who plays the cat lady that we just saw. So she had a close relationship with director Christoph Gans, whom she considered a mentor. Gans felt Deborah was perfect for the role and embattled mother Delilah Gillespie, who appears at two different ages in the film. So when he first approaches Deborah for the role, he told her not to slap him, as he was sure that she would be angered at being asked to portray a ragged old woman. So instead, Deborah was delighted by the character and quickly accepted the role. Ah, that classic Silent Hill score. I'm misremembering the order of certain events because I thought that the Grey Children were further along, like later on. Oh, I thought she had a gun. Mm-mm. Ain't that always the way in horror movies? Do you? You sure about that? Nah, I think you need to learn your lesson, lady. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Never a cop around when you need one, right? You junkie. Well, oh, in your face. Yeah, you're the one that had to go, mhm. And your face was the only thing, your cheekbone was the only thing injured? It's like, lady, I'm about to treat you as hostile, so you better calm the hell down. It is strange that it's kind of unanimously understood that Sean Bean's character is kind of pointless. But from what I understand, the producers like forced Christoph Gans to get more men in the film. I don't know why. His as I mentioned, his like it's understood that his role is kind of superfluous. It would have been better if instead of because his role, Sean Bean's role, kind of like serves as taking place after events happen, where they just regurgitate what it is that we already know. It would have been better if he served as like a prelude as to what was going on, like telling a like he finds out something eerie about the town, and then we see like the truth behind whatever statements are being told to him or explained. Hold your horses, buddy. Oh. Although I will say that this character had good foreshadowing, even though foreshadowing is like is has more to do with his role in the past as opposed to what's to happen to him in the movie. Well, it's because you're my prisoner technically. Uh-oh. Yep. I love the questions that poses because it just looks like the road was just torn right out. That or a torn out of reality. That or the they really are somewhere else, like not of this earth anymore. Frightening stuff. Uh-oh. You got company. Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. This was really cool. The white noise. Again, I love the foreshadowing. Dutch angle. Jeez. It looks like some kind of mutant. Yeah, that's another. I love that it's dripping like some kind of liquid, some kind of acid. Jeez. Excessive force much? So the costume for the armless man reminded many cast and crew members of a large painted condom, and therefore led to him being jokingly nicknamed Trojan Man on set. Geez, someone needs more time in the gym. Need to get that cardio up, girl. So the bus map that Rose follows to Midwich School ends at Bradbury Street. Ray Bradbury was an author well known for fantastic stories such as Something Wicked This Way Comes in 1983. The Martian Chronicles, 1980. The Illustrated Man in 69, as well as dystopian stories such as Fahrenheit 451. And who's ready for school? So Silent Hills College, visited by Rose, is called Midwich. Midwich is the fictional town is the fictional town of Village of the Damned in 1960, and John Carpenter's 1995 remake, both based on the original Midwich Cuckoos, written by John Wyndham and published in 1957. Interestingly, the filming in Brantford, Ontario, Canada lasted just 4 days. So the decaying downtown strip that was used for most of the film is a section of Colborne Street. So this was picked as such because of not many modifications were needed, as that area of the downtown was already in a state of decay. But since then, it has been cleaned up considerably, and it consisted mostly of abandoned buildings that could have been quote unquote dressed easily for filming. I also love how not just dilapidated everything looks, but like very old timey. Hence the tacky photos and paintings. Ha ha ha. That's another thing that I like. Oh, that's when I was worried when the mention of the cold fire. I'm like, oh, don't tell me that she's just like hallucinating all of this stuff. Hmm. Ooh, you don't say. That sounds like a pretty hefty judgment call. Interesting. So, around 100 different copies of Rose's outfit were made. This started out with soft, summery colors, and as the movie progressed, this became grayer and eventually blood red. Haha. This part I thought was kind of cool. Everybody in hazmat suits. It's like Chernobyl. They should make a if they're gonna make a Silent if they made a Silent Hill Japanese game, they should make a Silent Hill London and a Silent Hill Chernobyl. Hell, oh wow, that was kind of creepy. Yeah, everything just looks run down, abandoned, dilapidated. Anyway, so Rose's outfit. So the change in the outfits were so subtle that this was barely noticeable. And to add to the accumulated filth caused by her character's journey through Silent Hill, Rhoda Mitchell did not wash her hair through the entirety of filmmaking. Ew. What have we here? Huh. Freaky stuff, man. Huh. Again, I really commend the makers of this movie, or the makers of the movie, the makers of the game, for not just the story itself, but how it distinguished itself from Resident Evil. So that's what I mean. Like shots like that are just they make the chase scene. Oh boy, here we go. They make the chase scenes not monotonous. If for nothing else, this movie is very well directed. Like, you absolutely have to give it you have to give it the credit that it deserves for that. One at a time. God, anything that a child does or says when you don't see them in a horror movie, creepy stuff. I'm not the one that needs help. Wow. Jesus. Yeah. I can only imagine the smell. And what a bait and switch. And the crazy thing is, I thought that this scene was going to be over just with this. Oh, God. Gee, I wonder if that inspired the Three Doors scene from It 2017. Oh, man, the skin peeled off of him. Oh. What have we here? Jeez, this is just ash and asbestos everywhere. Oh, man. The peeled off skin on this guy is especially haunting. It reminds me of the drug addict from the movie Seven, the one who was guilty of sloth, and oops. Smart of her to take the keys from the main office. Ask and you shall receive. Again, great use of camera work. And I love that. The way that coal miners would use canaries. They got the hell up out of Dodge. Oh, I must be fine. I must be safe. I can't wait to see this adapted into the new movie. I love how the audio like cuts out. And incredible, man. Yep. The squish and the sound of it. Oh, man. Let me see. What was the budget of this movie? Very impressive what they were able to pull off. Uh-oh. Company. 50 million. Not bad. So the monster's janitor flicking his tongue was not in the script. It was improvised as a joke by the actor Roberto Campanella. Christoph Gans liked it so much that he kept it in the film, as it added that disturbing and psychosexual nature of the monster and the film's horror. Oh God, those pustules were the locusts from the movie The Mummy. Wow, I didn't even think of that. I did not recall that. Oof. Oh my God. Jeez. If it wasn't already apparent that she's in a nightmare. So like I mentioned, the transformation effect from when the world shifts to another plane of reality, the real world, the fog world, or the other world, was created exclusively for this film, but was, oh geez, but was later incorporated into the actual Silent Hill games released after. Oh, I forgot that they were in the school. Yeah, they're in the school, but they can't like hear or see her, and they're not in the same uh, plane of existence. Oh boy, here we go. The man of the hour. Ha 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 ha. Awesome, man. And he's carrying one of the corpses. I love how he's unaffected by the scarabs. Again, like he's such a in more ways than one. Red Pyramid thing is such a boss character. So Roberto Campanella, when playing Pyramid Head, he wore 15-inch heels to make him close to 7 feet tall. Why they didn't just find someone 7 feet tall? I'm assuming it's because of the following. Oh, I forgot that. I forgot that she ran right past him. Anyway, I guess they kept him on and gave him, like high heels because he was also the dance choreographer. So he not only played Pyramid Head, the tortured janitor, and Colin, the janitor from 30 years ago that we'll see later. He also was a movement coordinator. A movement coordinator for all the creatures and oversaw how they performed the movements for their respective characters. The Grey Child, the Grey Children, the Dark Nurses, and the Armless Man. Mm-hmm. I had forgotten that they passed each other. Yeah. She's saying to herself, what the heck? Where am I? Like, what is happening? Don't worry, sweetheart. No, the rest of us wouldn't be able to either. Uh-oh. Time to move. I love how she needs to be dragged. Ugh. That freaked me out. Oh my god, when I saw that, that was one of the times in the movie where I'm just like, yo, everything in this movie is messed up. Is it that heavy? So Roberto Campanella, he stated that the helmet that he wore for Red Pyramid thing costume weighed approximately 12 pounds on its own. Jesus. He also could not see in front of him or to the side due to the triangular grates that compose each side of Red Pyramid thing's helmet. Therefore, Roberto could only see his feet and anything directly below him. Yeah, how could I not? I love how enormous that knife is. Just impossible strength. Great camera work, I'm telling you. Oh, God. Jeez, I love how... Look at its arm. It's like just desiccated inside. There's no blood. They just rotted away. Oh no, they actually do turn to ash. Nice. I'd forgotten that got meant the puncture that he made with the great knife got mended in the door. I'm telling you, man, the artistry in this movie is something phenomenal. Let me put back all that asbestos. Well then. Yeah, for real. you, you don't have to keep asking me. I'm right here. Points the gun at her. It's like, the hell are you gonna do with that? You sure about that? What exactly is it that gives you that level of confidence? Okay, let me just check something. Okay, good. There's a lull. So give me one quick second. I just have to check something. I'm not gonna pause the movie. It is a little creepy. It is a little creepy when you think about it. That it looks like snow, but they're not in like a winter scape. They're not in a winter location. So I think that she was supposed to be being attacked. One of these two was supposed to be being attacked by an armless man, but the guy that they had as the movement choreographer wasn't available. So what they instead did was they just had her, this redhead, attacking Deborah Unger. So in the behind the scenes, the actresses explained that the pyramid head outfit had no covering on the back, and that the actor's buttocks was exposed, and this was done intentionally. Although the reason why it's never been explained, which I thought was okay. You want your monster to be bare-assed. So Pyramid Head, a monster from Silent Hill 2, he was included due to the character's popularity with the fans, and Christoph Gans considering him to be one of his favorite monsters. So, as purists will know, this is despite the fact that, canon-wise, Red Pyramid Thing's appearance in this film doesn't actually make sense, and the reason for that is that he exists in Silent Hill 2's plot as a manifestation of James Sunderland's guilt and represents his desire to be punished. I don't know, like, I understand if Red Pyramid Thing and the nurses are overdone, because every time Silent Hill is depicted, it ought to be from the perspective of the protagonist. So it's your monsters, whatever, or your inner demons, whatever you bring. It shouldn't be the case where you're copying and pasting other people's trauma. That sounded very profound of me. The new design that Pyramid Head was given in this film, for practicality purposes, would actually be used in the game series for Silent Hill Homecoming appearance. It's funny to me how influential this film was to its native gaming series, because let me tell you something, it was absolutely not the case with the Resident Evil movies, which I find hysterical. You've never seen Alice as a playable character in any of the Resident Evil games. Now why would that be? It was crazy the amount of cope that people had around the entire series. I mean the movie adaptations, which were terrible. Every last one of them. And we're getting our second remake this year. Hopefully that goes well. Jesus. So while there's a lull in the action, it took around 3 hours for Roberto Campanella to get fitted into the Pyramid Head makeup and costume, which is wild to me because the headpiece would just, you wouldn't need any makeup for the head. It would just be a helmet, right? And then, it's just a toga plus arms and chest and back, but 3 hours, wow. Practical effects do have their drawbacks. I mean, we all like them, but oof, 3 hours? Jesus. $111, that goes back to what I was mentioning before, the number of people who had died from the Centralia, Pennsylvania fires. And what I like about this movie and the overall series is that there are so very many references to other films, horror mainstays, movies. Huh. Tuh. Ooh. Anyway, there's so many references in the movie, in the first game, in Silent Hill in general. To horror mainstays, horror writers, horror films, Midwich, for instance. But the premise is uniquely its own. Huh. Oopsie. Yeah, it's not Silent Hill is not a ripoff of any one thing. And it was able to, you don't need to know about the references in order to understand and enjoy this particular story. And in addition to that, yes, it will take inspiration from Stephen King, for instance. Sharon or Cheryl, whichever you prefer, is inspired by Carrie without actually having to be her. And it springboards into its own mythos, you know what I mean? It doesn't hinge entirely upon its influences. Look at something like Doom. Doom was inspired by Aliens, or was conceived as Aliens meets Evil Dead, but it was able to become something more than that, its own thing. And look at how long it's gone and for how far. They just wrapped up their new trilogy last year. Another inspired choice as far as the monsters were concerned were many of the creatures in the film were played by dancers, so they could be flexible enough to create required disturbing movements. God, those bar phones from the mid 2000s. Hang in there. Leap of faith. Yeah, besides the Sean Bean repetitive character, I mean, I don't understand what people could possibly have against this movie. I was reading before I came on that Roger Ebert listed this amongst one of the films that horror films or films of the 2000s that he hates. It's like my feelings on Roger Ebert aside, what problem could you possibly have? I didn't hear what she said. Oh, that's creepy as hell. That's creepy. Creepy as hell. Sure. Woo. You don't say. Huh. Now how? Well, besides the birds, I guess we're a dead giveaway. That's also kind of creepy. Uh oh. That's the dinner bell. Take it easy there, Becky Lynch. I wish games had this level of depth. Games, movies, horror entertainment in general. That's creepy. Seemingly come out of nowhere. I think they saw that in the trailers, or when I was watching it, I had first thought, "Oh my god, are those like dead souls?" The fact that they seemingly came out of nowhere and they were, gathering, running towards the church from behind headstones. I'm just like, oh god. Oh, jeez. This was a really good setup. This this was really creepy. And uh-oh. Oh man. The sound of a finger piercing through fruit. Creepy. Oh, this is This scene freaked me the hell out. I would have never thought to do something like this. Oh my god. Bruh. Emotional damage. Oh my god. Yo, that is just gruesome on another level. He freaking, and they did that 1-2 combination of removing her clothing so that when he did tear at her, you wouldn't misconstrue that as him ripping her clothes off. No, he did that first and then tore her skin like it was God almighty. It's so messed up. Who would think of that? Oh, the Borg Queen. I don't like the sound of that. God, her eyes. I know that her role as the Borg Queen is iconic. It absolutely is, both in horror and in Star Trek. I wish that they did, like, horror in general did more with her. I do consider Star Trek First Contact to be a horror movie. God, her voice, her acting, and her overall look deeply, like, she can just tap in. She's one of those people that can just tap into a frightening character, a frightening presence. And this movie came out a decade after First Contact. Look at that. I didn't even realize. I had not noticed that before. God. She... Something about her eyes, man. I know that she's wearing contacts there, but still. There is something hauntingly ghoulish about her. Because that's what she was able to bring to her portrayal of the Borg Queen. So the cult in the games follows a different religion and worships several dark idols and only use the trappings of mainstream religions as a front for their actual beliefs. So for the movie adaptation, the cult is instead a puritanical Christian beliefs. So in an older draft of the script, the cult's members were Manichean, and elements of this remain in the final cut as the symbolism surrounding the cult's god in Midwich Elementary, as we see, is feminine. So according to director Christoph Gans, the cult's theology was changed from occultist to fundamental Christian so that their beliefs were more comprehensible and easily understood by Western audiences. Yeah, the religious stuff gets really dodgy in gets really dodgy in games, and it's a valid criticism by Razorfist. He said it was like overly complicated. So, unless you're creating a finely tuned myth, going the religious angle can be hard to follow. See also Dead Space. The officer showed his hand, the burn marks. $30 years. So, what's interesting, and this is a minor spoiler over what's to come, he just showed his hands the burn mark, and he mentioned that whatever happened to this town happened 30 years ago. So he has remained ageless this whole time? Curious. Jesus. Her, and again, I know that she's wearing contacts, but her gaze is piercing. Hmm. God, her cheekbones, everything. Like, she has the perfect look of a horror icon. The voice, everything. Hazmat suits. I love the danger with which the town is treated. Like, you need these suits to walk around in. Hmm. Yeah. Referring to her outfit, she is thoroughly grimy by now. Hmm. So, let's head back in. Again, I really do wish that horror did more with, uh, what, Allison Krieg is her name? Alice Krieg, excuse me. Interestingly, that she was the last person hired for the project just 2 weeks before the start of the film. She didn't particularly enjoy the role. She felt that her character was too manipulative and evil. To prepare for the role of Christabella, she read the book End of Days by Erna Paris, a book about the tyranny during the Spanish Inquisition. And here's where things get interesting. Excuse me while I take a swig. Hmm. Huh. Hmm. Eerie warning. Hmm. Hmm. You're not gonna like what you find. What? That was an odd sequence. I love how everything is so old school and dilapidated. The school, the desks for the children, the crowbars, the use of canaries, the flashlights. Is that elevator in service? Jeez. Oh, gee. Oh. Oh, it is. I think she's out of bullets. And you're on the express elevator to hell. Going down. Why would you bluff or show that you're out of bullets? Oh, man. Yeah, bro, they got pipes. Pause. Jeez. Long way down. Damn. They must have been at that for a while. Holy God. Well, I don't remember. I don't quite recall that being that excessive, but menswear. Jeez. Well, if we haven't already seen plenty of messed up imagery, we have a couple surprises left. Yeah, that's smoke billowing up. Oof. Great. Haha, the wheelchair. Great use of atmosphere. Like, truly top notch. Yeah. Prosthetic limbs. The aesthetic of Rust and Blood has always been a very inspired choice to me. It's not blood for blood's sake. And see, this is what I mean. This is we're in for another iconic scene. Oh God, they're like activated by the light. I forgot about the. Oh, dude, freaky. Ugh. So the strange stumbling movements of what are called the Dark Nurses when they first come alive was created by filming them walking backwards and then running the film in reverse. By the way, you can thank the Nun film for ripping off this scene. The darkest chapter in the Conjuring universe. So the nurses here have their appearance modeled after the nurses in Silent Hill 2, which you probably already guessed. In the first game, which this film is based on, the nurses were actually called the puppet nurses and were controlled by parasitic organisms. The hypersexualization of the nurses in the second game was symbolic of James Sunderland's sexual frustrations, which led to criticism that the nurses being overtly sexual in this film doesn't actually make sense according to the game's canon, but we'll go with it. Oof. That's freaky. How they're just like killing each other. Freaky stuff, man. And now we get the origin. And the fact that it's being narrated by a child is particularly frightening. And that she tells the backstory in through film grain. Oh God. Yeah. This is the guy that plays Pyramid Head. Oh God. Mm-hmm. And that's why he became the nightmare janitor. And who's her mother? Hmm. Hmm. Jeez. The close up of the eyes and lips when people are speaking. Hmm. Eyes wide shut party. Oh, I forgot about that. Hmm. Damn. Oh boy. This is wild. Hmm. Ugh. Whoo. Jeez. Hmm. It even burns the film. Oh. Hmm. And that's when the officer got burned. Hmm. Kept him alive, I suppose. Unpunished. Huh. That was a good touch. The flowers. Damn. Hmm. And yep, gets paid a visitor. Hmm. Uh huh. And spread. Yeah. Crazy, man. The backstory, the film grain, the imagery. Wild stuff, man. I am shocked that this movie's not more is not spoken about more. I mean, my God. This just goes so far beyond a guy with a mask and a knife. You know what I mean? It's so deep and screwed up. Even this scene, yeah. See, that character could have just been some throwaway. You know what I mean? Hmm. Yeah. Scary. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh. Uh-huh. Freaky stuff. Hmm. So I wonder if Sharon. It, hmm. Huh. So I wonder if Sharon is now the age that Alyssa was when she had fallen. Hmm. Uh-huh. Hmm. Freaky. Oh, jeez. And So, though she's not given a name in the film or credits, the Red Nurse character, she looked at Alyssa's charred body out of curiosity. She's directly based on Lisa Garland from the first game. I remember watching this movie, and when I see that nurse, I'm saying to myself, yo, every aspect of this movie is just so messed up. And like, truly, no one is safe. Hmm. Hmm. So, in addition to playing the Red Nurse, who was based on the character Lisa Garland that I just mentioned, Emily Lineham also played one of the dark nurses that Rose has to fend off in the film. So, that Red Nurse was originally going to have more scenes dedicated to her and exploring her backstory, and eventually revealing that her name is Lisa Garland, but the director was forced to reduce the role for pacing reasons, as the script was already going way over 120 pages. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Um, the director expressed interest in exploring her character more in a possible sequel, along with Silent Hill character Dr. Michael Kaufman, who was Garland's colleague in the game. I didn't mention it before, but Rose, Rhoda Mitchell, she had gotten punched in the face by one of the dark nurses during the filming of the scene in the basement of the hospital. The witch burning picture that in the church, crew members of the movie were painted as spectators watching the burning. Mm. Damn. So, Jodelle Ferlin, who plays Sharon, she stated in interviews that Dark Alessa was her favorite of the three Silent Hill characters to portray. Plenty. Yeah, talk of that lake of fire. Remember, such an unnerving feeling creeping up on me. Yep. Time for the roast. while not as bad as I thought it was going to be, like still the notion of being cooked. Jeez. Oh God. And forcing a child to watch. Jeez. Eek. Slowly turning into Freddy Krueger. Oh man. Wild stuff, man. So yeah, even though I think like the religious stuff, oh jeez. Even though I think that the religious stuff gets it bogs down a little bit the story because it's strong enough with simply creating with simply creating monsters out of your own repression and trauma. The way it was handled here is pretty creepy. Jeez. Hmm. Oh my God. Hmm. I mean, even in a limited role like this, it's it's still memorable. And when I'm referring to Christabella here, I'm referring to Alice Krieg. Hmm. And this is where things take a turn. I was like, all right, where does the story go from here? And then, oopsie. Huh. Interesting touch that Christabella was the sibling, was the sister of Alessa's mother. And whoa. Oh, Jesus. Right about here, I'm like, what is happening, man? Yep. Gone is your firewood. And up from the fire. Oh, Jesus. Wow. This movie is dark on so many levels, man. Yeah, this was the this was the painting that the cast had posed for. And looks like the church just got a visitor. Yo. You talk about messed up imagery, man. My God. She's still in the hospital bed. The barbed wire, wow. Jeez. And if that weren't messed up enough... Oof. Wait for it. Oh, man. Uh... Bruh. Oh my God. Wow. Oh God. Lord have mercy. Whoops. Bruh. Oh my God. The coiling of these things. The stuff of nightmares. See, now usually when something like this happens, where it's just like wanton suffering and attacking, and but see, there is something of a precision here, and I'm referring to the ending of Hellraiser 3 in the club, or in the club scene, or even Wishmaster, which is a film that I really like. By the end, it can get a little too off the rails. But something like this, I mean, it has a build up to it, and oh my. Enjoying the party. Freaky stuff, yeah. Jeez. So, the character of Dark Alessa is three different ages at the same time. She's quite literally 30 because she manifested after the 9-year-old Alyssa was burned alive, and the darkness and hatred in her broke off to form a separate entity. She's 39 because she's a fragment of Alyssa's soul, who herself is 39 by this film's events, and she's simultaneously 9 years old because her physical form is that of a 9-year-old girl. Jeez. Even after not seeing the majority of what's happened, how does this little girl grow up to be normal at all? I mean, that church scene would just be enough to
Emotional damage.
So here's where the ending kind of, I mean, yeah, it was an assault on the senses, this finale, this raging finale, but it does kind of peter off from here a little bit, admittedly. Time to vamoose and well, so much for her. Boy, that was a leap of faith, huh? I forgot that she called and he couldn't even hear her. Yeah, it comes off like white noise. And this was around the time where the film White Noise had come out. Not a good film at all, but the understanding of what that meant, of what the white noise meant when a cell phone or a walkie would go off and it signaled the approach of something supernatural. Frightening stuff. I do wonder. I believe that the fog in Silent Hill was also inspired by Stephen King's The Mist. But that's what I mean about this movie, or just the overall concept of Silent Hill. It can take inspiration from multiple sources and combine them so that it makes its own identity, its own novel contribution to horror without it seeming like a ripoff of this and that. Like, honestly, had I not mentioned that Alyssa, oh, I didn't realize that chair design was, I have that chair in black. I didn't realize that chair design was so old. Anyway, but yeah, the Silent Hill can take inspiration from multiple sources and still have its own voice, its own identity. So the version of this film, oh, hold on. Okay, I think we're done with the chat. Anyway, the version that we see in theaters is the one that director Christoph Gans wanted us to see. He said in an interview that the studio executives loved his version, I should say, and he was never asked to cut down his film length. Although the initial script of the film was expected to be 3.5 hours, the film was never shot with that length in mind. And interestingly, that there were a total of 165 sets and locations used for the film, which, again, is pretty impressive to me, considering that the monsters are, for the most part, they're all practical effects, and that the locations, or that the budget was only $50 million. Okay. That is the end of the film. So, let me just wrap up a couple of trivia items, and then I'll get to my closing thoughts. So, the scenes in the script that weren't filmed due to time and budget constraints depicted Alessa as a child, actually displaying that she had supernatural abilities since she was young. That would have been appreciated because it just looks like they're just teasing her, the kids are just bullying her for no reason, and establishing that would have helped to demonstrate that she actually did have supernatural ability, that they weren't calling her a witch just to call her that. So, as I was mentioning before, the film is included on Roger Ebert's most hated list, having given the film a 1.5 stars. Seriously, dude, get some taste. So, Jadelle Furland, who plays Alessa, appeared as little Carrie White in Carrie 2002. The character of Alessa from the video game pays homage to and is likely inspired by Stephen King's novel Carrie. A poster of Carrie 1976 can be seen in Silent Hill 1999. Carrie 2002, what was that? Was that a show? I don't remember this. This was a movie? Oh, it's made for TV. Yeah, okay, that's why. That's why I don't remember it. Because I remember they came out with that god-awful The Rage Carrie 2. Oof. Anyway, as a result of one of the promotional posters of this film featuring a mouthless Alessa Gillespie, it resulted in billboards and advertisements across the United States being vandalized. Yeah, because I remember that. There was the guy that runs the YouTube channel Good Bad Flicks mentioned that a lot of people would put like memes and stuff on it. They really should have come out with something more creative than that. I mean, and you have multiple sources to pull from: the fog, one of the monsters, the town. Like, just having a child's face without a mouth on it, it's, uncreative. Dark Alessa as an original character. Oh, I'm sorry, Dark Alessa is an original character and shares no game counterpart, interestingly enough. In addition to that, her appearance was modeled after Italian horror cinema, specifically the female spirits from Kill Baby Kill 1966 and Spirits of the Dead 1968. So, you might be interested to hear that Meg Ryan and Mila Jovovich auditioned for the role of Rose. Dodge that bullet. Sorry, Mila, you and your no-talent husband only get to ruin one horror game movie. Christoph Gans had originally wanted Cameron Diaz to play the role of Sybil Bennett. What a fail that would have been.
And now his watch is ended.
And now their watch is ended.
So, I would now like to dedicate this time to closing thoughts on the movie. It is my estimation that this movie was the spiritual successor to the Jennifer Lopez movie, The Cell. Truly nightmarish stuff that's going on here. Something that I wish that we got more of. Expertly handled, of course. You don't just want to show an assembly line of imagery, as terrifying as it might be. You do want it balanced with good characters, an interesting story, a villain, so on and so forth. But I think that horror is less for not having more films and games like this. It has always been understood, as far as I'm concerned, that there are four corners of the horror genre that represent a certain point of no return. Depictions, franchises, motifs, where we dispense with the blood splatter, we move away from a guy with a hockey mask and a knife, the gratuity, and we get down to the essentials of horror that are evolved and elevated to create something genuinely groundbreaking. And when I say four corners, that's exactly what I mean. H.R. Giger's biomechanical artwork, Clive Barker's sadomasochism from Hellraiser, H.P. Lovecraft and the Cthulhu mythos, and then there's Silent Hill. This is for die-hard horror fans. These genres and these staples of fear fiction, I mean, this is where the big boys play. And Silent Hill did something genuinely groundbreaking. If you notice, it was the last of these institutions that I mentioned. It was the last contributor to these four corners. First, it was H.P. Lovecraft at the beginning of the last century. Then there was H.R. Giger with Alien, soon to be followed by Clive Barker less than a decade later with Hellraiser, and now we have Silent Hill. Something of such depth and such gruesome storytelling quality. I mean, again, I give the makers, the designers of Team Silent, I give them so much credit for having dispensed with going the more commercial route of Resident Evil, creating something truly deep, thought-provoking type of horror, a thinking man's horror, and offering a valid counterpoint in nearly every regard. Resident Evil will be much more commercial. Silent Hill is much more cerebral. Resident Evil will be action-oriented to a degree. Silent Hill has always been about... Silent Hill has always much more tackled the flee versus fight, the flight versus fight aspect of the genre. Whereas Resident Evil has expanded beyond Raccoon City, Silent Hill has always remained, or generally speaking, remained within the town. And if it extends just to another town. It's not this global event. Resident Evil will deal with big corporations and zombies, whereas Silent Hill will deal with inner turmoil, where each time it is the protagonist, it is the tourist that comes to the town, that brings their trauma and their repression and their psychological issues, and the town twists that into monstrosities, sexual in nature at times. To me, Silent Hill 2006, I'm just gonna come out and say it. It is the greatest video game adaptation. Next to the Jean-Claude Van Damme Street Fighter movie. I said what I said. That movie's hysterical. Moving on. Before we got the Mario Brothers and Sonic, I mean, this came from a time where there weren't formulas and there weren't franchises quite yet. No one had nailed down exactly how to go about adapting these video games. And with Resident Evil, with Doom, with Alone in the Dark, with Silent Hill, it was never a sure thing that people were going to be able to turn a profit with adapting these. I give Christoph Gans so much credit for having the passion and the talent to have been able to pull this off. I'm happy for the fans that he was able to make such a mark that in Silent Hill's current renaissance that it's enjoying, that they were able to call Christoph Gans back to make another sequel. It's great that we've gotten the remake of Silent Hill 2. I'm glad that Silent Hill F has gotten recognition and commercial appeal and critical praise. I'm glad that we have the upcoming original Silent Hill getting a remake. But to me, as a horror critic and also as a horror gamer, I'm thrilled that this upcoming, as I speak, this upcoming week, we're going to be getting a long-awaited return to Silent Hill with the upcoming sequel. And how crazy is it that we've gone this entire time, and only now are we getting a adaptation of Silent Hill 2? To me, the Silent Hill 2006 adaptation, it's one of the lone high spots in a decade of the genre. I'm referring to the 2000s, where, yes, we did have classics, but they were very few and far between. But to me, Silent Hill is right up there. And if we weren't getting an abundance of quality horror within the genre, within subgenres, within a certain 10-year span, it wasn't like the decade was so prolific that it was just cranking out great hits one after another. No, in fact, it was few and far between, because I'm sorry to say that the 2000s was obsessed with fads over films. I'm talking zombie apocalypse. I'm talking found footage. I'm talking torture porn. I'm talking remakes. Oof. I'm talking J-horror. But the hits that we did get, it's as though instead of spreading the wealth across multiple films, like say the 80s, the majestic 80s, as opposed to cranking out banger after banger in the 2000s, if you could consolidate all of the quality that you would expect in any other decade across multiple films, instead, all of that quality was condensed into a limited number of films, of horror films that we got in the 2000s that were great. I'm talking Silent Hill. I'm talking Dawn of the Dead remake. I'm talking 28 Weeks Later. I'm talking The Descent, which is the greatest horror movie of the 2000s. I'm talking The Strangers. I'm talking Ginger Snaps, the second greatest werewolf movie ever. I'm talking Trick or Treat. I'm talking The Mist. I'm talking The Others. Silent Hill absolutely deserves to be on that list, because it is. I do wish it got spoken about more, because there's so much to unpack in this film. There's so much quality and depth and psychological torture that's going on here. But I'm glad that it has gotten the recognition to any degree that it absolutely deserves, and it is counted amongst the success stories that we got out of the 2000s. As I mentioned during the watch, there are so many references in the Silent Hill film, in the games, in the franchise. Many references to things like Stephen King novels, literary sources, horror classics. Silent Hill is probably the ultimate example of greater than the sum of its parts. It goes to show how you can take influence from sources without resorting to rip-offs and still creating something novel that joins the greats. Take a hint, Resident Evil. So, with all that being said, I would now like to give a couple of recommendations if you want to keep the good times going.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula.
Make it a blockbuster, right?
So, I always like to give out a couple of recommendations for films that are on par or similar to whatever creature presentation we have for the watch party. So, my recommendations would be Jacob's Ladder, The Cell, Hellraiser, an independent film called Citadel, and Seven. And one that occurred to me just now, Candyman. Therefore, let's now discuss what is on the scene for the Mind's Eye and Mind's Eye Theater. So, today, our watch party was not the only video game news that I had for the week. On Sunday, I did a Resident Evil 9 Requiem Showcase Overcast, where they had a special behind the scenes. It wasn't really much to write home about, I'm sorry to say. They're talking about, like, partnerships with Porsche and watches that you'll see in the game. Just pointless stuff, to be honest. Wasn't anything groundbreaking. But anyway, I try to provide not just my coverage, my overcast of the showcase, but my thoughts on the upcoming Resident Evil 9. So that was Sunday. And the Resident Evil games weren't the only zombie news that I covered. This past Thursday, I did a 28 years later, The Bone Temple, Precaution, and Aftershock. So, if you haven't seen the movie, and judging from the box office, the weekend box office, it appears that many people haven't. But if you're interested in my thoughts, and you should be sure to check out my preview and my reaction. Oh, what just happened? Sorry about that, my mic cut off. So, if you're interested in the Precaution or the Aftershock, my preview for the film before I left to go catch it, as well as my Aftershock video, I invite you to take a gander at that. I posted it on all my channels. And now, let's take a look at what we have in store for coming attractions. So, I will be having a return to Silent Hill behind the scenes reaction video tomorrow. I saw that a behind the scenes posted over the weekend, so I said, you know what, in anticipation of the film, why don't I do a reaction video? So that will be Tuesday. On Thursday, I will be doing a return to Silent Hill, Precaution, and Aftershock. So the same setup where before I head out to the theater, I give my preview, and when I get back, I give my reaction video. The same setup that I did for 28 years later, the Bone Temple, I will be doing for Return to Silent Hill. Down the road, I will be working on my trailer gut reaction to The Mummy. I have some observations I would like to make over what it is that I saw from that trailer, and I would like to share that with all of you fine folks. I will spoil that. Wow, I am excited for that. It definitely looks different in several different ways. It looks very unique, not stereotypical, which is what I'm glad that Lee Cronin is avoiding, and I want to share my thoughts with all of you. and I'll be getting to that after this week, after this week of zombies and Silent Hill. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this watch party, this 20-year celebration of the Silent Hill film. I hope that you will catch my coverage of the upcoming sequel that I'll be doing this week, and mark your calendars and say your prayers. I've been Inkarnate, offering a word of caution. Fear the worst, so long you recognize who's best. Your fate? Time to subscribe to your fears.
Scary night, isn't it? It's like right out of a horror movie or something.
See you in your dreams. Oh, come back anytime. Bring your friends. Welcome to my nightmare.